Hi everyone, Sam from DMTI, and today is an introductory video on one of my favorite math topics, and that's what's informally called the 10 rule. And what the 10 rule says is when you multiply a number by 10, that number will increase by one place value. Now that might seem a little different than what you may have heard people say about multiplying by 10, but I want to show you why the 10 rule is so powerful, and then I want to give you an example of how to model it and explain it for students so they understand why the 10 rule works. We'll also have other videos looking at how the 10 rule applies to multiplying decimals and can help fix some really common misconceptions with multiplying decimals. And then we'll also look at how the 10 rule applies when you get to working with powers of 10 in the intermediate grades. So let's first start with why the 10 rule matters. Typically when we first learn to multiply numbers by 10, kids are often focused on the fact that you're just putting a zero on the end of the number, or they might use the language adding a zero. There's a couple issues with that. A really kind of odd one, if you haven't worked with a lot of students that are fairly young when they learn this idea, is that they actually get confused when you say you add a zero, because something plus zero should stay the same. So that might seem as an adult that shouldn't be a big deal, and we should be able to understand that, but it's actually because the language is the same, can be very confusing for some kids. The other statement a lot of kids have is that you just put a zero on the end. So I want to show you why that starts to break down as well, and then show you how the 10 rule fixes this idea. Well, what if I have 12 multiplied by 10? And I'm going with the rule that I just put a zero on the end. That seems to work. Everything so far seems to be following that pattern. However, when you get to slightly older grades, and you take 1 2/10 multiplied by 10, if my rule that I go off of is that I'm going to put a zero on the end, then I end up with an actually incorrect product here, because I'm still following the rule that I'm just going to put a zero on the end. But if we follow the 10 rule, and say every time you multiply a number by 10, it's going to increase by one place value. The 3 is 3 ones. Now it increases by one place value to become the tens. In 12, the 1 is 1 unit of 10. It increases by one place to become 1 unit of 100. 2 increases by one place to become 2 units of 10. We didn't have any decimals here, so we have 0 units of 1. And I'm going to model how to explain that in just a moment. But let's extend the idea up to the misconception that we just talked about. If my rule is that when you multiply by 10, the number is going to increase by one place value, I can look at 1 unit of 1. It increases up to 1 unit of 10, 2 units of tenths, increase one place to become 2 units of 1, and I don't have any tenths left over. So that 10 rule can be really valuable and can help alleviate some misconceptions. So let's look at how to model it visually. Let's take this example here. So I'm actually just going to start with 3 units of 1. So I've got 3 units of 1. And the word I'm going to use is iterate. So that means to copy over and over again. And what I'm actually going to be modeling technically is 10 times 3. There's some other videos we have that describe why the order matters and when it doesn't matter. But this is really what I'm going to be doing today, because I'm actually taking 3 units of 1 and iterating them 10 times. And iterate means to copy over and over again. So if I iterate 10 units of 1, or 3 units of 1 10 times, I create that model. And then what's kind of a nice thing to do is to look for where the 3 units of 10 are in the model. And if you're working with kids, I'll pause for just a second so you can give them a chance to talk about where they think the 3 units of 10 are. So now we've got our model. It's 30 units of 1, but if you look at each column, we've actually composed 3 units of 10, which is why that 0 in the ones place shows up, because we don't have any units of 1 anymore, because we took each unit of 1 and iterated it 10 times. So that's how the 10 rule works initially. We have some other videos talking about it with decimals and also some ideas with exponents.